So, hello everyone, and we are going to have a discussion today with Anuj, and he has a very inspiring career journey. Right now, he's working in Accenture Strategy. So, what we are going to do today is we are going to understand Anuj journey, his what kind of challenges did he face, how did he overcome those challenges, how did he prepare for the interviews, for the resume, and what is his advice about if somebody wants to pursue a career in consulting, what should he or she do. We'll try to make it as actionable as possible, as detailed as possible, so that we get as many insights as possible. So thank you so much, Anuj, and thank you so much for joining in and agreeing to share your journey. So maybe we'll start with your, introduction. Just quickly tell us about about your profile and just some more detail about it. Yeah.
First of all, thanks, Alok, for having me here. And I'll start with a brief introduction of mine. So, I'm a 2014 graduate in mechanical engineering from IIT Jabalpur. After that, initially I joined Honda Cars as a GET and was working primarily in supply chain and logistics. Then moved to Hero MotoCorp after spending 2 years in there. Again joined Hero MotoCorp in the supply chain and logistics division. Then something very unique and very meaningful happened for me in Hero MotoCorp, that at that point in time their incubation center was getting launched. So I was among the handful of candidates who was picked from the different plants operating within different plants and pulled out of the ecosystem to work on internal incubation engagements. So in there, I was leading or basically co-founded a EV startup by the name of Surge EV, and spent next 4.5 or 5 years or so trying to build that. 5 years into it, we started with the basic ideation stage at what we can do, how the EV was at that particular time. If I remember correctly, it was 2018. So there was not much of the buzz around EV. You could only see some two-wheelers or certain validated cars from Mahindra on the roads at that point in time. So yeah, it was a good journey that we began there and finally ended up raising close to 180 CR for internally for that particular startup. Then I took a year break and completed my MBA from IIM Bangalore, and then got into Accenture Strategy through campus. In here, I'm working in Industry X and working alongside to move forward the agenda of software-defined vehicles that we call as the SDV or the Automotive division. So yeah, that's a very bit about me.
Oh, great. That's a very interesting journey, specifically the startup stint inside a established company, that too a very old company, I would say, right? So that's great. And I also see that as you explained, that your transition from a core industry, right, automotive industry, to consulting, and in between you have done your MBA. What I would like to know before we reach to your success, just wanted to understand what kind of challenges did you face, and how did you, maybe top 3 challenges if I may, and how you try to overcome them, or what we can learn from it.
Okay. I still won't call it a success. It's an ongoing journey though. But yeah, when it comes to challenges, see, the biggest challenge is the shift of the mindset. I experienced it twice. First one when I was working in the manufacturing facility, and then transitioning to the incubation center or the innovation cell. So firstly, it was much more like a typical employee mindset, I would say. And then when you start something on your own or are accountable for things, so it's an entrepreneurial mindset that you have to venture into. So yeah, at that point in time, and then again after the MBA, coming from an industry, so the ways of working and the lifestyle within an industry, whether it's a lot more different. And lately, I've come to realize that consulting is a way of life, I would say. It's not only a profession change or professional shift, but rather again a mindset shift that your time is your greatest asset for in the consulting environment. So that would be on top of my list. It would be the first one would be the mindset shift that you need to be. It's very easy to say that you need to be agile, you need to be adaptive, you need to be open to things. But yeah, when it really comes to practicing those things in your daily life, it really
Yes.
takes some time to get onto you and to get acclimatized in that particular environment. The second challenge that I would call is unlearning. It would be for me. And again, partly draws from the previous one, that the mindset shift that has to occur. And again, for example, very typical thing, while we were there in the industry, while I was there in Hero MotoCorp, we used to create a lot of presentations for the investment approvals, for everything. So I used to really think that I'm fairly good at storytelling and PowerPoint skills and all those things. But when I transitioned to consulting, and that too at an executive level, the expectations are much more. And so all these things, whether my people lead first on the very first meeting asked me, how are your PPT skills, how are your PowerPoint skills? And I said, those are fairly good. And believe me, it took me nearly 7 to 8 months after being there in the consulting to really make those kind of viewpoints or get into those particular issues, as in wherein you are creating those impactful, those really meaningful single sliders or PowerPoint presentations or everything. So yeah, and again, so this is where the unlearning part comes from. That you need to go off your old ways of working and quickly adapt into the newer ways and be really open about everything. So yeah, Alok, I would say these would be the two for
Yes.
me.
No. Yeah. That's very insightful, and just wanted to click a bit on, maybe one tip from you. If somebody has to create a very impactful slide for as a consultant, and maybe they want to learn now before they transition into it, or they have just joined a consulting company and they want to learn, maybe what could be one maybe actionable tip to create impactful slides which maybe CXOs or client CXO would get up, would appreciate them.
On a lighter note, we are now in the AI era.
Yeah. Yes.
So things are pretty much simpler nowadays. But yeah, I mean, to create those, think from the point of view of your audience. That firstly, when you step into their shoes, you're seeing the slides for the very first time. It should not be too cluttered or too verbose or too detailed enough. Certain things needs to be looked at or needs to be discussed from a 10,000 feet. Certain things needs to be dived in, and that is how that is how things get cultivated in there. But okay, this also reminds me of a particular example that we were working in my recent one of the engagements. We were working on that particular engagement for almost 3 months, and when you, for the last 90 days, when you're working on something, so you get to feel that, okay, this is some basic stuff, everyone would be knowing it, and we created a very nice looking and a very glittery PPT for the client. And 2 days before the exact presentation, we were traveling to the client location. We had our first round of demo, and there was so much to say, so much to tell, that because we were already on that assignment for the last 90 days. But the next 48 hours we just spent revamping the everything and the entirely not getting into the details, touching it from the keeping it a very high level, keeping it from a very leadership point of view. So yeah, thinking from what the client would be seeing first time on this screen, it's very first time for them. Is it enough for them to absorb all those information? Are you getting into too much details? And always do have some it always helps to have some proponents of your view in the audience. So it's very much important that you in the informal setting or prior to the main day, you have a dry run with all the other stakeholders, so that in the room, even if you fail, you do not fail that miserably that no one is able to relate to your stance. So yeah.
I think that's great advice. Just to maybe crystallize it, one, the takeaway is thinking from the client perspective or who's going to see this, thinking maybe balancing between the top level, high level stuff versus a detail level stuff, having your proponents in the audience so that you have you have already tested your presentation, so that you don't have any shock when you are actually going to present it. That's great. One more thing, Anuj, see, it might have taken 1 year or let's say 18 months for you to maybe just get settled in consulting, and maybe when you started preparing to now where you are, right? What could be that one instance or one thing which you think happened, which kind of put you, maybe if I can say that, what make you more successful or help you cracking consulting role? What could be that one or two things in the entire timeline which you think you did right, or by chance you did it right, or you got it done right? So what could be that?
You mean stepping into consulting, or
I would say getting into consulting. To start with, getting into consulting. In your journey, what could be that one or two instance or thing or advice or something which happened to you, which maybe put you in a position that you can say that now I think I can get into it, or which in the hindsight you said this is what actually worked ultimately.
Okay. So I would say the habits that I had, there are certain things that I won't say I'm an avid reader or I read a lot, but yeah, I am big time into podcasts and all the different editorials. So I religiously, like it would have been, I don't know, 3 or 4 years for now that I daily read 10 articles, the editorials from Can and FinShots. Apart from this, I used to listen to podcasts a lot. So there are many founders nowadays who do very detailed podcasts, and that is one habit that I picked on from the very early stages, and they helped me cultivate a viewpoint around how does the end-to-end things really pan out. In our jobs, we do not have that kind of an opportunity wherein we see everything we present to the leadership, the topmost leadership, especially pre-MBA, and so the entire bigger picture often gets missed out. But when you are listening to all those very candid podcasts and very seasoned players telling you something, you are able to relate to their story. And that is how those things also form your viewpoint or form your mental model. That also came in very handy when I was drafting my MBA applications and all the interviews and everything. Even in the MBA interviews as well, it came in very handy. So that would be one thing. And the other thing is, I would strongly urge people to work on their communication skills, and it's very understated, like especially among us, the Indian folks, who do not give much of the attention to how do we look or how do we enter into the room. And believe me, the first impression is made when you first enter into the rooms. So dress nicely and carry yourself with utter confidence, and speak yourself authoritatively. The person sitting next to you is also a human. Okay, he might not be that kind of an expert or an SME in his or her field. Everyone is playing their part. So you also play along, be confident, and know what you are saying. Don't try to make a fool about the other person, and just say, even if you are stuck somewhere, okay, tell the truth that okay, we did only this particular part, and this is the journey that I want to carry forward uh, in the further role. So yeah, basic simple things. Carry yourself nicely, be confident, and be aware of what's going out there in the world.
Yeah, great. So just and be genuine, as you said, right?
Yeah.
That if you don't know, you don't know, right? I mean, there's no point of. I think trust is more important than bluffing something. Just one maybe detail on it. You said podcast, and I also try to follow. I'm trying to follow, but still I'm not there. Although I read a lot also, but if you have to suggest some podcast specifically on the upcoming trends, maybe technology or maybe whatever upcoming trends you are into it, what could be some of the good names or places where we should go through? If somebody has to start listening something, what could be some of the areas or podcast they should be listening to, or any other source?
See, I won't say about upcoming technologies and all those things because there's so much on the internet that you read nowadays. So, but one thing that I liked is I also met in person with Shantanu, the Bobby Shaving Company's co-founder. So he's also situated out of Gurgaon, and while we were working, we were in WeWork. So he also happened to share same room as me, and he really took the vibe away of the entire room. He's very good on those things. So his podcast, Shantu's podcast, I guess it's Razor Sharp. So that is the one thing that really helped me, and sorry, but I do not follow. I'm not able to follow as many podcasts as I would like to because those are 2 hours in length, and you do not have that kind of a time also available with you. So just 1 or 2 things. I also used to follow Think School. So that is one. Nowadays, Nikhil Kamath also has very good podcasts. So yeah. You do not need to have all those many different sources, but 1 or 2 things which really appeal to you. Like for me, it was how the startups are made, how the founders think, and in that case, Shantu's podcast really helped me a lot. So yeah, just 1 or 2 things, and much more like mutual fund SIPs. You carry it for a longer period of time, and they really give you some value.
Great. No, great. I think I should also listen to specifically Shantanu, as you said that they're also talking. He's also talking about startups and all. So that was really great for me also. Even Think School, I think I've seen a couple of them and they were really good. So great. Nikhil Kamath I have not yet followed, but maybe that could be next on list. So great. Just one more, maybe moving from a more towards a more tactical aspects of maybe preparation and this thing. What do you think in terms of your resume or messaging on your resume? What might have worked for your shortlisting in different companies, or any other tip on with respect to resume, right? Which you think can be helpful for others as well.
Okay. So specifically from the resume viewpoint, one thing that I did, and I would advise people to really do that, within each of the sentences, wheresoever I could quantify and wheresoever I had certain groups, I hyperlinked those groups to my Gmail drive, so that it really creates a kind of a confidence and a trust level that, okay, this particular person is not only talking about these things. I had certain groups and I stored those groups in PDF or whatsoever format in my Google Drive and hyperlinked it to there. And simply no one does click it. No one has that amount of time to really go through those. But yeah, it really created that kind of extra differentiation that no one else in my batch really did. That being said, I'm not saying that everyone should create certain hyperlinks or those things, but yeah, you know your batchmates more than anyone else. Just think of certain ways in which you can make your resume, even from the point of view of just plain simple, how does it look, how does it appear? slightly a bit different from what your other peers would be doing. So that really helps you. Coming on the content part, I would say, for example, when I was doing my MBA, so there was a thing that you should have two versions of your resume, one for the broadman and the other one for the consulting. And believe me, I had a very hard time creating two versions of resume, because for me, it was every time it was just one version of the resume for me. Yes. Because not going and I clearly remember when you guys arranged certain mock interviews on the campus. There was one lady from the Flipkart who was taking my mock for the broadband role, and at the end of the interview, I very candidly asked her that I do not have two versions of the resume. This is the same for consulting. This is the same for the broadband. What more I should do? So she very candidly responded that this is very much okay. I mean, from the both lenses, from the consulting as well as the broadband, and that brings the one major learning that I had is that do not focus on what you put, how you from the what the role requires, but rather the key skills. For example, design thinking being one, the supply chain excellence can be the another, the go-to-market strategy can be another. So you categorize your points in certain of these sections so that it becomes very apparent or very relevant for both. Either if you are doing broadman or if you are doing consulting, the 0 to 1 journey is always there. Okay, the context might differ. In broadman, you would say you're working on certain idea. In consulting, we say that 0 to 1 is more about how a venture should be built out. So the framing of the sentences or the language construction might change, but yeah, the essence remains the same. That you need to focus on those core skills, stakeholder management. How did you embrace change management and all those things? So yeah, that would be one thing from the resume making point of view.
Any specific point or thing which you think, or you which might have been asked in the interview also, or from your resume which you think was very interesting, or did they ask you about?
Look, there was one thing that came in very unexpectedly handy in my interviews. When I was having this video conversation for Accenture, mm-hmm. He gave me a problem, a situation wherein I had to think from the lens of a candy making company. Okay, that how would be all the automation and all those AI coming up, and these candy making companies are still so labor intensive, and how should be the strategy if you have to advise some CEO of that particular organization, what would be your 2 or 3 top takeaways or those things. And that is why you won't believe that some 3 or 4 years back, when the Pulse candy was introduced, FinShorts did an article on this. Oh, wow. And I just remembered that how difficult it is from that particular article, somewhere in my subconscious mind, I picked up that it is very difficult to create an IP or create a differentiation, because within 6 months, if you are not able to market or you are not able to penetrate that particular product to each and every corner of the country, it will be very easily replicated by the competitors, and your entire journey has been lost. Mm-hmm. So I somehow, and that is how that particular point just clicked my mind. Okay, that I read it through, and I was able to make certain recommendations, and I was able to frame my answers based on that particular article, which I still do not remember very adequately that what I read there and what I did not. But yeah, it's more about even if when you start preparing for your MBA, it's more about creating those kinds of habits and being living in yourself that okay, someday these things, today I'm doing it out of sheer interest, but someday it might come handy, it might not come handy, or you might even being the smartest room on a dining table, being the smartest guy on a dining table, that you bring out all those viewpoints and just from a fun basis. So yeah, I would say that's how things got connected, and that really helped me in my interviews.
Oh, great. Actually, I mean, this is a very important thing you mentioned, And I mean, this happened to me also, and I'm sure, and I've actually spoken to a lot of people, and they somewhere bring out this point that whatever they have been doing it habitually, they are actually being able to use them in their interviews or in any very important interaction, because that you are doing not for keeping that I have to prepare for interview and hence I am studying. So that is a very important point you made, ki whatever you have to one build good habits, imbibe those knowledge, and that definitely helps you when you have very important interaction while you have not prepared for it. I mean, this happened to me also. So that's a very interesting thing which is said, and I think it should also motivate people to build those habits.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same like building your muscle memory.
Yes.
So even if it's an interview setup, it's more organized and it's more, you have the calendar and everything, but you never know the day you are interacting with someone,
Yes.
where in the career something might click or something might not click. But yeah, it's more about being the smarter guy around.
Yes,
So
yes. Great. So anything, I mean, although you have already mentioned it, but I'm just trying to maybe call it out, that anything specific which you think worked for you in the interview, which went in your favor overall, or any specific things apart from this, which you have already given the example of candy making manufacturing setup.
I would say whatsoever pointers I mentioned in there, I rehearsed them quite a couple of times, and my story was very thorough. Whatsoever persona I wanted to create, I wanted to communicate, that was very much thorough, and I was able to give certain anecdotes here and there, that okay, so as to make them believe that this is coming from some real life experience. And when you talk in that particular language, the person next to you or the opposite to you who is conducting the interview is also able to relate. So not everything needs to be that much technical. You should be able to, like I always tell people during the interview preparation, that you need to leave those small breadcrumbs here and there for the interviewer to pick those up and engage in a conversation. If your story is plain and simple, okay, I did this, I did that, and that's the end of this story. The interviewer has budgeted 30 minutes for that interaction. Give him or her some meat to build that conversation onto. The interviewer is also looking forward to evaluating you with no prejudices and no biases, but you need to give him that kind of leeway or those kind of things that he or she could further probe you on. Okay, so that is how, that is why building up your story is very much important. All those analytical facts that you have stated in there are okay, but yeah, there should be some element of storytelling or story weaving different threads together. So, and that's how the conversation gets built up. If I plain and simple tell you, okay, I did this, I did that,
Yes.
what would you ask next?
I mean, yeah, I think that is also very important, right? Like, you have to tell things in a structured and storytelling format, so there's an engagement and people remember it later on. It has to be a structure, situation, challenges in that, and what you did, and what were the final results, right? That is very important. Right? So one more thing, let's say if somebody is, let's say, either in workforce, they're already working, they're working in some other industry, or people who are, let's say, doing MBA, and they have only 30 days to prepare for their resume and the interview, and in such a way that they get shortlisted and maybe get into these kind of roles. What would be your top 3 advice to them, what they should do in these 30 days, so that after 30 days they are much more, they can get into consulting? What could be some of those tips or tricks which they can take action on?
Okay, so let's firstly discuss from the resume building or the resume draft point of view. First of all, I would say understand the core requirements of that particular industry in which you are venturing into, or which you are preparing for the interview for. The core requirements might be, for example, in my case, it was that I came from a very niche automotive background, and I did not had much of the uh, I mean, even in the farthest of the things, I did not consider myself as a very technical person, very IT oriented person, which always is a thing with when one is applying for the consulting domain. So it's a major misconception that people with IT background or people with digital transformation kind of an experience are valued more. It is not like that, but rather the hardcore experience whatsoever you have. Firstly, retrospecting or sitting with by yourself and trying to understand what your actual profile is. Okay, and then understanding what the target company or what the target organization requires, and then trying to create a bridge between those two should be the first step. That okay, I bring these kind of things. So if the target organization requires say 5 skills or 5 pointers, so even if you take 2 out of those, capitalize on them, the remaining 3 or remaining pointers can still be built upon that. Okay, I do not score 10 on 10 on these things, but yeah, even 5 or 10 or 7 or 10, but yeah, these 2 pointers do I do tick those boxes. So for me, in my case, those were automotive background. I again, resume building and your story, what you say in the interview, goes hand in hand. So pick up those common points, build up a good story, build up a good narrative around those things, and so yeah, those that would be one thing for the next 30 days. That retrospect what your actual profile is, understand what the company requires, if possible. If you have that kind of a network, it is very much advisable that you connect with people on the LinkedIn and try to understand different viewpoints. Okay, what do they require? How does their day-to-day life looks like? What are the skills that companies recruiting nowadays for? If that kind of a, I would say, luxury you have through your common connects and from the time that you have, that would really help you. So those would be the things from the resume building. And for the interviews, as I said, 30 days, I want to approve that point of view that you can really prepare well for a company in 30 days. It's rather long drawn things. You can finalize your preparations, but yeah, even if the first thing that you need to cultivate is, I would say, case in point or all those various case studies, form a group of 3 or 4 members within your cohort, sit with them religiously for 90 minutes, for 1 hour, for 2 hours, whatsoever you can do, and create a very, do not sit with your friends, create a very heterogeneous mix of batchmates who really challenge you and who are equally into it or draw the same kind of energy as you are, and practice various different use cases and try to cultivate that kind of a mindset wherein you talk objectively, you question the right things, and yeah, those would be 1 or 2 things I would say.
So just for example, let's say I have to create a resume for a consulting firm. Apart from industry or specific domain skill, what maybe 2 3 I don't know message or keyword I should definitely build capability on and put it in my resume? What would be those?
One thing I would say is go-to-market strategy. Nowadays, people are every client is also looking out for ways for digital transformation or AI infusion right, in their workforce or day-to-day operations. So those would be another. And the third one, I would say, just simply Google what are the latest things that the company is in news for. For example, nowadays regulatory compliance is a big thing. So if you have anything that supports that kind of a viewpoint, and so yeah, third could be around those things. For example, supply chain is still has always been and is still a very much in demand skill. So something around supply chain or operations, that too also comes in very handy, I would say. So a mix of digital skills and see, a typical value chain of a product is that you firstly think about it, then you firstly you conceptualize, then you design, then you define that particular thing, and finally you optimize for that thing. So within these four parameters, and this is the typical life cycle of for any product or for any idea. So around these things, whatsoever domains you can map from your experience and bring out those, so it really gives you the entire life cycle view around the things.
Okay.
So
great. So GTM, digital transformation, mixing digital skills with business skills or domain skills could be this thing, and definitely what is happening latest in that company or industry, and somehow if you can solve those problems, bring it out in your resume, could be a very good thing. Just maybe moving out from technical to a bit more broader, a couple of questions, maybe last 2 or 3. One, when you entered consulting, what is maybe the one biggest myth either you heard or you were having, which got busted when you entered consulting?
Again, in consulting, it depends from also from organization to organization and project to project. One of the things it was that it always is 12 hours of working, loads of travel and everything. So it depends from project to project.
Mm-hmm.
If the certain clients are demanding, certain clients are not, and certain clients do require travel every now and then. 5 days a week and every day, every weekend. So certain clients don't. So do not generalize the things because something has been said about the consulting world. The other thing in consulting, as I experienced, is not everything is digital or IT oriented. People with more niche industry skills are still very much valued. The only thing in there is that people need to bring out that particular persona into their profile, that okay, they know those end-to-end things or end-to-end skills. So that would be the another. And one more thing about the consulting rather is that people do enter into after from the consulting into the consulting industry is because it opens rather many more doors for your future switches or your future employment things, and that 1 or 2 years here in consulting and then I would migrate to some good industry or product roles or something like that. Please don't step into the consulting with that shorter time frame or mind frame. Rather, you are entering into a new industry, or you are trying something new organization. Give it proper time, give it some time to work onto you, because it takes time for you to get acclimatized, to know the organization, to know how the things work, and then you would be able to extract real value out of your switch, out of your MBA, and out of everything, the investment that you had made. Do not come with a very shorter time frame in mind. Give it some time, go with the flow, and let's see how.
Yeah, I think makes sense. I think I know some of my, maybe I would say seniors, who are hooked to consulting because they love it so much that they think that if they are not in consulting, what they would be doing. So yeah, they're on the other side of the I would say addiction. Great. So I think maybe last question, and this is more maybe message from you kind of a question, that there are a lot of people for various reasons they feel stuck in job, right? Or they maybe they want to do more, or they feel stuck in job, or in general, and maybe they are applying also but they're not getting success, right? If you have to address them, what could be your advice to them? What should they do, and what would be your advice to them?
Simple. Reach out to people, create a leverage for yourself.
Great.
Reach out to many more. You have LinkedIn as a platform. Not everyone is very open to conversation, but yeah, the success rate might be low, but it's not zero. I also did the same in my pre-MBA, continued to do the same post-MBA even. Talk to people, and what I mean by create a leverage for yourself, that you should have people should know that okay, this person is doing this kind of a job. If not today, the time that you connect first, they might not be having something in mind, but yeah, things do work, and those are very conventional and the very traditional ways. They still work. How much AI-fied we get in the current scenario, but yeah, nothing beats you than creating a simple connect with people. If possible, I have not been able to do that so far, but if possible, try writing something on, try sharing your knowledge on LinkedIn, and that really helps. I'm not saying that you create a general stuff about do's and don'ts and those nots, but yeah, if you can do certain people do read, and it really creates a visibility for you, and so yeah, those would be
share your own knowledge, share your own
yeah,
experience. That will be much more unique also. It's just
correct.
this last question on this very interesting point you raised, that reaching out to people, right? But let's say if I'm working in an industry and let's say I decide that okay, I have to reach out. What maybe more tactically, what kind of people should I reach out to? How do I reach out to? What should I say them? What should I message them? What if they don't? Those kind of doubts come. So what should I do? I mean, a bit more specifically on that.
See,
You
how
can give
I
your own example. I think that will
yeah,
be great.
how I used to do it is firstly, the first contact point is your seniors from your organization who have made a switch. Okay, you talk to them very good because you're at a different comfort level with them, that you say, okay, I'm also experiencing the same. I'm also learned from their journey, that what worked out for them, and if not what worked out for them, it should create a horizon or a canvas for you, that okay, these are the career options that are still applicable for me. Okay, that can be one of the things. The other, while I reached out very heavily while I was deciding between which institute to do my MBA from. Okay, and that is where you create certain connects, and those are very warm still today. Is that you reach out to people that okay, what's good for this institute? How did they make this particular choice or not? The other ones could be simply you hear about you went to some forums, or you went to certain meetings, and you hear from those. You simply drop a connect. The next time, so you follow them for next 3 or 6 months. Those are more strategic in nature, and then you connect. Okay, this particular person is talking about these things, and it relates to me in this manner. If time serves you well, and if the universe aligns, then you might get into a conversation with them. So that could be another thing. It also comes with certain do nots. Do not keep on pestering people with constant messages in their LinkedIn mails or in those things. Read the signals that okay, something could be connected or something could be not, and through mutual friends, through mutual connects, you will get certain connects. So yeah, these could be the things. But the first lowest hanging fruit is the people from your organization who have taken a certain career path, or who you think are sorted in their life. So yeah, those could be the first one to connect.
I think these are very super practical advice, and I think when you were telling me, I was just thinking about one of my mentee who just reached out to me, and I was thinking, okay, this also I can do for him. Okay, let me do this also for him. So that's great.
Yeah.
So I was about to interrupt you, but then I thought, no, let you complete. So this was super insightful, Anuj, and I think I'm just trying to maybe summarize what we have discussed. One is the challenges, which is shifting the mindset, having an unlearning attitude, right, for your this thing. Then we also discuss how do you present maybe some slides to CXOs by understanding them, what they require, maybe a balance of high level insight to a low level, to a detail level insight, and knowing some people there, that's really help. And then having a habit of continuously reading and learning, and which I also saw later on that how it helped you during your interview also. So that was really great. Good communication skill, good first impression, and being genuine is also we spoke about, and then we also spoke about some examples of podcasts, like you spoke about Shantanu's from BSc, and then Think School, and Nikhil Kamath, right? And then in resume we discuss different types of strategies, and in interviews we discussed about your candy making, manufacturing, and how storytelling, right? How storytelling is important in the knowledge. And then for preparing, I think you very practically said that you have to have a lot more practice for your interviews to crack interviews. Have that kind of cohort with whom you can practice, know your industry, know your domain well, know the organization where you're applying to well. And I think last but not the least, or maybe before that, right, having maybe understanding of how digital and business skills, or how can you use digital understanding and can impact on business, is also very important these days. And I think we also spoke about myth about that it's not about always 12 hours a day working in constantly. It varies from project to project. Same with the travel part of it, right? And at last, the most important, which I thought was very important takeaway for people, and I think that I would urge everyone to do, is that reach out to people. It doesn't matter people are accepting you, rejecting you, not answering and all, but have some people reach out to talk to them, just learn from them, and I think a lot of doors will open for you. So this is a great insightful session with you, Anuj. Thank you so much for joining in and having this conversation. We will be interacting for sure. And are you part of that WhatsApp group, mentor WhatsApp group also?
Yeah, I am part of one or two groups that I'm part of. Although nowadays in the consulting world, I do not get that much of time to be very frequent or to be very checking all the things in there. But yeah, I'm in touch with Nitya, I would say. So yeah, and I also do look forward to.
Yes, for sure. Now the season will be starting, right? Post April, a lot of things would start happening. So we would look forward to, and definitely I'll when I come to NCR, we'll meet you as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
The last time Lal Bahadur Shastri
we met. Yes.
But yeah,
we'll see you. मिलते हैं. चलिए, thank you so much. Keep in touch, and anyways I'll be keep in touch. So thank you so much. Bye. All the best.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.